Black Magic Sorcerer here with another video. It's really late in the morning, and being a typical insomniac, here I am making a video. And so I'm contemplating, like, oh, okay, what kind of a video should I make? What kind of subject is useful to people who are into magic that might somehow be starting up, or just in general want to know more from someone who's been doing it for a while. One of the questions I think I get a lot of, for some reason, is, if someone doesn't love you anymore and you want them to love you like they used to love you, is it possible to do that with magic? And yes, unfortunately, it is possible to do that. And I say unfortunate because the person that engages in that is essentially abducting someone's mind. And like all spells, if they're too powerful, they can destroy someone. If they aren't powerful enough, it'll wear off and the effect will be nil, but nothing lasts forever. So the best thing you can do for someone who is obsessed with getting someone back, or someone who's obsessed with perhaps using a magician to gain a lover that they wouldn't be able to get normally, not by their own clout, not by their own system, so to speak. When you employ someone to do magic for you to have a lover come back, to get a lover, all those things, any number of things can backfire. And when people have asked me, like, hey, the wife has left me, can you do something to help me get her back magically? I immediately advise no. And that no comes from my own experience of dealing with highly toxic energy between two people. And whatever has happened or transpired that created this breakup. And now, through magic, we want to mend this back, naturally make it happen where, two people who are apart can forgive each other. Those are things you can do, but they're subtle. And if both of you aren't on board already, it's going to be hard, because you're really dealing with a free-willed person who's decided, no, I don't want this person. And now you're asking that person that practices magic to go ahead and take that person's will and do the opposite of that will on your behalf. So, I don't know how to put it lightly, but to put that on the sorcerer, magician, whoever, that's a tough one, because you're going to get what you want, but you're also getting yourself a little side curse with that, which is that if you turn someone away from their total true will, their true course of action, because you decided to be selfish and throw magic of that sort into their path, and with no judgment for me whatsoever if that's your choice. If this person is someone that you supposedly care about, you need to consider, why don't you care about their free will then? If they made the decision in life that you're probably not going to be the best thing for them, and it might not be the best choice for both of you, and they're trying to be the bigger person, and you don't want to hear that out, and you would rather force that, you got to ask yourself, how did I get to this point where I'm willing to employ someone? It could be anywhere from $25 for a reading to some fucking hoaxer who wants to charge $500, $600, $700, up to the thousands. I think I've spoke before about consulting someone for a curse just for the hell of it, to see what I would get response-wise. And this individual responds back and says it was going to be like around $10K to do a curse. Who in the fuck's got $10K to allow some fucking shyster to convince them that these death curses are going to be successful at $10K? I'd like to see what you get for a 10K curse. I want to see the whole fucking layout. You know, because I'm a skeptic. And I've done curses. And I know what works and I know what doesn't. And when you're talking about taking someone's life, that takes a lot of energy out of you to do. You have to really be gifted in that specific area. And those who are fucking dangerous. Most of us don't have it in us to just skip that little product in us that says it's okay to kill this person. Because what people don't realize with magic, for people who are psychic and can go into the astral plane and fuck with your target, meaning the person you're trying to hurt or kill or whatever, that they aren't aware of what's going on that plane. You are. So if you can access them and start talking to them, you can get information about them. There's so many different ways that you can influence someone in a situation, is what I'm getting at. And it doesn't require you to do a massive, super energy packed, angelic, demonic, whatever you can put on it, curse. And I say it's a curse because if you put a true love spell on someone that does not love you, you are taking that person's will away from them and you're installing your will into them. Which is fine as long as you accept that that's what you're doing. So why am I bringing this up? Because when people would say, oh God, I want the so-and-so back, if your wanting them back isn't pure in heart, the only chance you're going to have in hell of that working is very slim. And I'll say it's because of this. It's because if someone leaves you on their own free accord, then you use magic and it brings them back. Now you have to deal with the fact that if something happens during this course now of you getting back together, if it falls apart again, it's because you did this not out of your own love and hope for the situation, but you did it out of a selfish need. You're not going to change, so you just want to change the situation. You want the wife to stay put. You want the husband to stay put. You want the check to keep coming. You want the wife to keep staying home, taking care of those kids, where you keep an eye on her and then do what you want to do. If that's your intention behind using magic or hiring someone to do magic to alter that person's will, that is an evil intent by anyone's definition. That's a very evil intent. You can't say in one breath, I love you, and then in another breath, I'm going to do something that's going to really hurt you. So if you're willing to put that out there, that, you know, you've been caught, you fucked up, whatever it is, you admit to it, but it's still not enough. They don't accept it. They need to move on. That is their decision. Do not try to influence that. You have a better chance of them coming back if you don't chase that person in that situation. Because, again, if you go and you're calling them every day and you're fucking calling and texting and trying to talk to their friends and getting on their social media and trying to hunt down this poor bastard that just wants space because the situation's become so hot, more than likely, they'll more than likely come back if you just shut the fuck up and give them some space. There's nothing finishes off a relationship like when someone says, please, just respect me and let's try to move on, or at least have some space here, and you're freaking the fuck out. It's extremely immature, and I understand it's a highly charged emotional situation. But damn, man, it's so volatile is the word. It's just a fucking volatile situation. So using magic in this situation that's already totally fucking chaos, relationships, love, all that shit, it's all chaotic. That whole scene right there. Everything from love affairs to being in love to bearing someone else's child, all the things that are connected to love, being in love, having sex, all those things, they're so tied up into one little ball that it's really hard to tell someone that practices magic to successfully take this person who has these values and these things, somehow change them so that now they don't have these values anymore, all on your behalf. And you're trying to take your influence and influence someone so that you can have influence over them. And that's a tough one. So my advice to anyone that thinks I'm going to do a lust spell so I can get laid and do a psychic rape on someone so that, they're easier to seduce, that's what you're doing. You're influencing their will. There have been hypnotists who are so good at just fucking putting people under hypnosis, random people, that they've been caught sexually abusing them, things like that, because they're so good at their craft. And that's not magic. It's a fucking scientific philosophy. It has nothing to do with magic. It's all about the brain and how you react to little subtle movements and, gestures, things like that. So consider that. You're essentially saying, fuck your will and fuck your feelings. I don't care about that. Just put that aside. I want to go back to the way things were. I got caught. I can't stand this guilt and suffering. If you come back, as long as the magic works, I'll stop. And 6 months later, when your ex-girlfriend calls, you're over there biting the fucking apple again. That's why I don't do love spells. That's why I don't do lust spells. Those are things you should do on your own and learn how to do if you want to do them on someone. I would not employ someone to do something that any teenager can do in their bathroom at midnight with some other punk. That's not real black magic. I have to digress and say this though. Those methods of magic are extremely excellent if you are trying to fuck someone up. So let's look at the reverse of that. I just gave you a big lecture and sermon on, basically what you're doing if you're going to use magic to influence someone's will. But now let's consider what you can do when it comes to something like that. Imagine if you have two enemies that happen to be married. You can use your imagination how easy it would be to influence that situation to make them come out of wedlock. That's going to send those two off balance. You could get involved in all of that magically and make those things happen. A lot of magicians, I noticed, will even get into politics and then start using their craft to try to start influencing or putting curses on these big political figures. And I don't know if you can see what I see whenever I go to curse a political figure. Like let's just pick a random one, let's say anyone in the public eye right now. I can see what I feel is protecting them or what isn't protecting them. So let's say I go to look at a politician psychically and I think, well, what kind of protection does this person have? You can see right away if these political figures have real protection or no protection at all, as far as psychically goes. You can sense it around them, you can tell. The one thing I can tell about almost all the politicians that I observe, at least in my country, because I don't have any reason to observe anyone else's politicians in their countries, at least not at length. When I look at them and look into them psychically, I just see another human being. I see them as a child. I see some of the things they went through. I get little flashes into their personality, things like that when I'm doing a reading into them. You'll get, you could ask that question to their higher self or whatever, their spirit, and say, look, how do you feel about your mother? And if you get a wave of that emotion, that's usually right. Nefarious magic is a lot more simple than it looks. I think all magic is black, because essentially for you to impose your will on someone else with that kind of force, that is black magic. Forcing someone into lust, into love, into obedience to you, into signing a check for you that you don't deserve, into giving you lease to property that you don't have any rights to. There's all kinds of things you could do with black magic to fuck someone up and potentially fuck your own life up. One of the things you have to consider is if you're really good at these things and successful at them, you'll become greedy, and you will do them so frequently and so often and get into such a habit of doing it that next thing you know, you're going to get caught up in it and you're going to get a big fucking black backlash current or something is going to catch up with you, because you can't just do all negative all the time. You can't have curses be your specialty. It'll destroy you. It'll completely destroy you if all you do is listen to dark music all the time. You're always watching something depressing. You're always around or listening to others whine and cry and tell you depressing things. You got to build up that shield around you psychically that protects your emotional heart, that emotional part of a magician that allows you to flow, send emotional current back and forth. You have to guard that. And don't be so eager to put your feelings out there, because a lot of times when someone's gaslighting you and getting you upset and fucking with you, they're trying to connect with you in a negative way, but it's still connection. And once they make that connection, if I got you thinking about me, now your ass is grass because I got that connection. It's like, now I got your number, bitch. Now I'm living rent-free in your head, bitch. That's why forgiveness, protection, staying in the light a little bit. You need to understand you can't be into these things all the time and have it not affect you. They're dark acts, they're dark things to be doing, so you have to have balance. No one's going to become a demon by doing more demonic things, so to speak. It's a little delusion I think we subscribe to because we all love the fantasy world so much. I mean, I would love to have demon horns and glowing fucking eyes and, you know, a big split double tongue. Speaking of which, I dreamt the other night that I had a tongue that had a split in it like a snake. I don't know much about dreams, but I've been having some fucking doozies lately, boy. Woo! I had a dream last night I was wearing a red jacket. Never owned a red jacket in my life. I digress terribly, but I did feel like it was something that needed to be addressed a little bit. And guys, it's not something you need to be worried about, you know? Doing magic for positive things is probably way better than engaging in something that inevitably is going to make you feel more cocky and enthralled with your little gift than you deserve to be. Always put yourself in check, because if your answer is always just going to be the guillotine, you haven't learned shit, especially not about magic. You have to be you kind of have to have a little bit more of a level head than the average person, but also be a little more daring, bold, and a little more crazy than the average person, I would say, to be into magic at all. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, don't fucking do it. It's that simple. I don't know why there's a debate about it. It's not whether it's dark, it's not whether it's light. It doesn't matter. None of it does. So I just don't understand why we have to keep having this debate about whether magic is good or evil. It's neither, but it is dark. We have to agree that it is dark. There's something very dark about the way that we have to do it, and it's a very solitary thing. When you're interacting with the spirits, you feel right at home with them, and you feel like you're not alone because you're surrounded by the energy. But you feel isolated in society, and you feel isolated in your work, because you're starting to realize that shit, this Gnosticism philosophy might be close. We might actually just be gods that reincarnated into human flesh to experience human flesh, and then when we die, we remember that we're God, and then we go back and do it again, or something else. But why the fuck is it a crime to have an open mind about these things instead of being so fucking attached to every little book, every little philosophy, every little religious creed that someone spews? In the end, we're all scared little fuckheads, all trying to do something to avoid the fact that we're either going to live or die forever. I have a feeling it's going to be forever, because I do think energy goes on forever. And I know it does, because otherwise the afterlife wouldn't be possible. So you have to really just rest assured that you're always going to be here. We are eternal. What that looks like afterwards, when this flesh is gone, that's the mystery, that's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be defined. Stop trying to define it. Stop fucking worrying about it. People are consumed with religion because they're so worried about this moment that led up to this transformation that we're all so scared to experience, because we've been taught from a baby's age that this is going to be a big scary experience. We make it into such a anxiety-filled nightmare. It's every movie over sentimentalizes death. We worship and are obsessed with death, but we're not obsessed with living in life. And I don't understand that. It's that's the darkness that comes with being a human being, is that we're all evil. We all do evil, but I don't think we understand why we do it. And we don't realize or want to accept that it's because it is a part of us. So, rock on, motherfuckers. Dark blessings. I know that was a long rant, but I wanted to just drive home a point that your morality is going to eat you alive. You're going to pick a side, pick it. Just fucking do what you're going to do and do it. But stop making it into something that's going to hurt you with all this bullshit philosophical contemplation. Live your life. Stop worrying about tomorrow. Bless the darkness.